I'm not alone this morning. Oh, no, 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 no. I have a socially distant Helen McCook waiting in the wings, giggling her head off, which is a normal state of affairs, really. Yeah, which is why we love her. So she's here today. Today is a show of two parts, one very briefly with me and then Helen, for as long as Helen would like, basically, because we aren't restricted to an hour cut off or anything like that, which is lovely. So if you subscribe to our newsletters, you will know that today is all about cartonnage and of course Helen's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful embroidery, which I don't profess to be any kind of expert on. I just know it's a bit gorgeous. White work, that's what I want to say. Yeah. Is what, no, hang on. If I show you this very quickly, and I'm going to put it on a quick close-up. First thing, say what you see, say what you see. First thing that it evokes, for me, it was, I said, it's very Rennie Mackintosh. And Helen went, oh yeah, well, it's called Glasgow Rose. So, you know, I've been to a house for an art lover. Yeah, exactly what it made me think of. So that's very clever of you. Oh yeah, no, rather beautiful. And the other thing that Helen is making, oh, is here. Oh, right, okay. When I grow up, bit a while yet, I'm going to embroider. I don't have the time at the moment, but when I do, this is what I want to make. Oh, look at that. Just look at that. And this can be yours. So Helen and I are starting a series for you. So every month you can then get, so it's a little needle case. You can then get the next part of this series. So by Christmas, you'll have a complete kit. Whether you gift it or, you know, keep it for yourself. No judgment here. Absolutely none. Would you gift or keep?
Keep.
Keep. I like that.
Gift
no
a kit.
hesitation.
Gift a kit.
Gift the kit. Yeah. Keep the make.
Make your own.
Yeah. I like the DIY Christmas kit idea. Isn't that beautiful? What's the next one for next month?
A scissors keep. A mini one for
Nice.
embroidery scissors and a bigger one for snips.
Beautiful, beautiful. So that's Helen's portion of the show. For mine, I'm going to be like 5 minutes, so don't worry. Don't worry. I wanted to introduce you to a concept called cartonnage, and it's something that I've done for a few years now, as I suddenly realised by the number of pots of bookbinding glue I have in my own personal stash. I realised this is something that I've done for a while. It was introduced to me by a lovely lady called Christine through a company called Pinflair. You might remember the Pinflair glue and Snow It that we had on last week. And this is basically a form of covering card, like thick, really thick card with fabric, and that's why you use the bookbinding glue. So it's a great way to use up your scraps or get that beautiful fabric that you want to have out on display but you're not quite sure what to do with. It's a great excuse to use up those. So I'm in the middle of making the fabric scraps container, and I'll just show you like the base of it just to give you an idea of how it works. So basically you find your fabric that you love. I've done a lot of it, and then you get, it's like, when did you last use a spatula for glue? Were you about 7?
I'm a fingers person. That's
You're a fingers person. You get right in there with your fingers.
Yes.
Helen.
Preferably followed by glitter.
Preferably followed by glitter. I mean, you could. This says glue sparingly, but yeah. Do you eat cake in the same way? I mean, just
Actually, no, with a fork.
It's very fun. Very fun.
I don't like the goo down my nails. It's different for glue. It comes out easier.
Well, this is very satisfying because you can sort of peel it off and you feel like you've had a treatment. You know, it's like, can't remember all that, that's good. And then you just cut your seam allowance around here. So what I thought was, we've got a few kits. Have a look on the website, www.natashamakes.com. And what I thought was, if you guys buy your cartonnage kits in advance, then, so I've got that glued on there, and then I'm just going to snip at various There we go. Just like sort of centimetres apart all the way around. And then we can have a cartonnage craft along day. So we can make stuff together. And we can make this, which is the storage that, well, I say storage, it's for all those threads that just sit there and get annoying. So you can have this. This will sit on the end of my desk, and then you'll have a pin cushion and on there as well, and magnets to put your little your needles and stuff on. So it's really handy, and then you just throw all your scraps in there. So the next stage is, and this is just to give you, this isn't like a full demo or anything like that. This is just to give you a taster, a little taster, a little snippet as to what we can then do. These make gorgeous gifts, and they're really inexpensive as well, which is always a bonus and a great way, like I say, to use it with scraps. So you can then just, a bit like when you prep your English paper piecing, just go around, pop that on the base like that. Dink, dink, dink. And this is going to be the base. And so on our website we have got a Pinflair sewing wallet. We also have the hexagonal trinket box, which is gorgeous. It has moving parts and everything. It's very lovely. This is the base that I popped on earlier, and again I did the base in exactly the same way as I've just done that, and then this will marry onto that and we will all be happy. Well, I mean, I can't guarantee that, but I'm pretty happy. So yeah, you will need bookbinding glue for this. It's a very specific type of glue, fabric glue for it, but you'll be able to use it on lots of other things. Like I say, I suddenly realised I think I've got three open tubs. Is that excessive? I don't know. It depends if you're going in with your fingers, I guess. And then you just fix that onto the base. How smart does that look all of a sudden? And that's the starting point. And then, like I say, you've got your other parts. So this is what will sit on your desk, sort of there. And then you've got bits to make a pin cushion. You've got magnets there as well, which will sit on there so you know where your needles are. And that will then sit off the edge of your desk there. It's really, you know, right by your sewing machine or your overlocker or whatever. So that's one of the kits. But I wanted to do it so that we could all do it together. It's something that we don't always get the chance to do. So I thought if you buy the kits now, have a go. And or it's something you can do with grandkids. Let's move those across there and I'll show you which ones we've got. So, whoops. So you do it in whatever fabric you like. So that, hang on, let me take this out of the packet so you can get an idea. So this is your Pinflair sewing wallet there. Again, in whatever colours you like. And you get ribbon to go through there and it all folds up really beautifully. So that's one option. I was just showing you this, so that's what we were just doing the base, or we were just putting the base on there, so you can pop all sorts of little things in there. That holds it onto your desk. There's your magnet for your needles, and then you've got a little pin cushion there, but again in whatever fabrics you like. We'll talk about fabrics in just one moment. And then this one, which makes a gorgeous gift. Like I say, this has moving parts. So for me, I will be doing mine in Tilde fabric because I loves it. And I think it's really pretty, and I want to put jewellery and stuff in there. Which brings me on to my last and final point, which is, oh gosh, I've got to remember which kit's which. On the website, I put up this morning some general scrap bags, and they are $11.99 as normal. They're mixed scrap, so, you know, whatever there was at the end of a day's cutting. And then we also have for you, because we asked yesterday Tilde scrap bags. Now they're slightly different. They are a little bit more money because it's guaranteed. It's just Tilde fabric in there. And I spent ages this morning weighing it all out. And the 400 gram bags that it will be equate to approximately 2 meters of fabric. Now that should be well over £31 retail for 2 meters of Tilde. But I've taken the price down to $19.99, and if you put in one of the little hexy, you know, we had the Bon Voyage pre-cut hexy kits, the 1.5 hexy kits. If you put one of those in, you get £2 off those two together, so that then you've got loads of fabric to be English paper piecing with, or making the cartonnage with, or doing whatever. I have a limited number. It's from... It's going to be a mixture of about 3 or 4 different ranges of Tilde in there. And they will be big usable. These are not your normal scrap bags where you get the odd little piddly bit here and there. These will be long quarters and things like that in there. So really big usable pieces, but they'll be a mixture. So they are on the website, like I say, just whilst stocks last. I'm tidying as I chat to get out of your way so that Helen can come in and do her thing. So yeah, do take a look at those. They are while stocks last, and but they are very, very gorgeous. I think I've nearly moved everything. I even hoovered this morning.
Because I'm that strict.
Well,
social distance, not emotional distance.
I like it. Yeah. There you go. I'll just pop that down there then. So nobody noticed a thing. It was seamless. I'm going to take my cup of tea in my mug, and that's mine, isn't it, as well? I'm going to take that. Mm-hmm. Gosh, it's a full-on tidy, isn't it?
Yes, I know.
That's yours. I'm not going to take that because that would be rude. And I'm going to go and sit over there with a pair of scissors. I've been roped into doing another 20 pencil cases for school. Suddenly realised they go back to school tomorrow. Might just be prepping some zips whilst we do the show.
You keep your hands busy. It'll keep you out of trouble.
Well, something's got to, hasn't it? Right, I'm going to take this. I'm going to socially whatever past you.
Indeed.
And you go in. I will I would high five you. I'll give you a virtual
high five.
High five.
On by Bluetooth on the way. You're like,
yeah.
Hello
everybody.
You're right. Good morning. Nice to see you all. It's lovely and sunny today. It's good. Right, so we've got 2 kits to do today. So one is the needle case, which is arts and crafts inspired. So if I...
Rennie.
Yeah.
There you go. Pop it in front of your thingy and we'll get you a close-up.
Pop it in front of here. So we've got the arts and crafts inspired needle case. So kind of English style on this one. And then we've got the arts and crafts, the Scottish style, the Charles Rennie Mackintosh style here. So we'll do some close-ups there. So you see embroidery on glaze with the eyelets, some trailing. We've got stem stitch, we've got satin stitch, shaped eyelets, more satin stitch, and then Richelieu and satin stitch at the top.
I don't even know what trailing is.
It's exciting.
Oh, there we go.
Stitching excitement. Right, so shall we just go straight into a bit of satin stitch, I think?
Yeah, treat yourself. Do it.
I think so. Exciting times. So we've got the same stitches on the front and the back for the 2 flowers. So you're doing a repetition on the front and back there. And then we've got a ribbon that's applied with herringbone and French knots, and then some running stitches. And there's full construction notes in the kit as well. So there's photo
You know what I have
notes.
to ask though?
Yeah.
What level is it?
Basically, there's nothing complicated in this.
Okay.
So if you've not done much stitching before, you could do it. If you've done a lot of stitching before, you could walk it. It's absolutely fine. And as I say, the notes in the pack are step by step with photo instructions at each stage.
You are pretty awesome at those, actually. I have to say.
Well, I think there's nothing more irritating than buying a kit and then either not having enough fabric or not having enough thread or having instructions that promise the world and then you don't actually understand what you're doing. So in theory, everything should be there. So I shouldn't need to sit in your living room with you.
Well, I mean, it's lovely when you do.
well, you know, we try.
Can we talk about delivery and stuff like that?
Yes. So basically, I'm waiting on a delivery of parts of the threads. So one of the colours was particularly busy on sales for the thread supplier, so they've sent part of the threads and not all of them at the moment, which isn't great. So we've got a week's delay on delivery, so you'll be all prepped and ready for making you'll have cleared the decks to be able to make your needle case.
Do you know, you are not alone in this.
It's happening.
And we were saying yesterday on the show that whilst the world starts to sort of return to a sort of normal-ish, there are certain things and some craft products there are certain fabrics.
Colours, certain fabrics.
I've been waiting for 6 weeks for white fabric.
You want the moon on a stick, you do.
I know. Just plain white. That's all I want. No. Forget it. So yeah, it's just weird. But
it's one of those things, and it's, as I say, they've promised me it'll be with me by that point, so
there's a week's delay on
so I'll be heading off to
them
Scotland, and then I'll be coming back, and then I'll be sending all your kits out, so that'll be nice.
Perfect.
So we're going to start with the satin stitch. So I'm going to start on the little spray flower here. So if I just show you on the other screen. Right, so you can see that it's light towards the end of the flower, and then it goes to the medium and then into the dark. So there's 3 shades of kind of pink. It is. So what we're going to do is I've already started my medium. So we need to put an edging on here. So with satin stitch, we really want to put a split stitch edging first, and it gives us a lovely secure edge against which to secure our stitches for satin stitch. A split stitch does exactly what it sounds like on the tin. It's a stitch that you then split. Right. So you put in a stitch and then you can split it. Now, traditionally we split it from beneath, so about the halfway point, and travel forward. If you struggle to split it from beneath, if you're struggling with your hand mobility or your hand-eye coordination, that's absolutely fine. You can see I've reversed, and you can split it from the top. So whatever you find easiest. So like a running
lazy daisy? Or not? Where you sort of go back over, you'd sort of go through, you'd pin all of them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they all have to be held in place, and the reason why we use the split stitch is because it's the most secure stitch that we have, because it's attached to the fabric in 3 places, where you've come up, where you've gone down, and where you've gone back up through it. So it doesn't roll around, like so it gives you a lovely little barrier to kind of jut your stitches against, and it really kind of creates that security. So you can see, as I say, if you struggle to see from the bottom, then just work it, split it from the top. And what I want to do is I want to try and use my corresponding shades. So as I said, it's darker nearer to the centre of the flower, medium in the middle, and light at the top. So I'm just putting the split stitch in the medium in the middle at the moment.
Looking good.
And as I say, you work along just on the outside line.
So Helen, I've just had a message saying, can you ask Helen where she got her jacket from, please, if she made it, and where people can get one, because lots of people are asking.
Oh, bless you. Well,
it is the first thing all of us have said this morning. It's like, wow, we love your jacket.
Basically, I bought it online, and I saw it and I thought, that's going to be awful.
I've got to have it.
But I just thought it was so bad, it was amazing. And when it turned up, the finishing up close is not great, but it's better than I expected it to be. And I did say to Natasha this morning, I was basically, sometimes you just need a little bit of sparkle in your life.
That you said sometimes you need a bit of Elton John.
Well, this is true. Well, I was like, I'm going to decorate it further. So it's going to come from this state to a more decorative state, believe it or not.
Beautiful.
And it will be worthy of Elton John by that point. And
he's not having it though.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely nothing.
There's not enough shine and sparkle in people's lives these days. And so...
Oh, you are so right.
I'm like... If I need to glitter myself up to make myself feel that, I'm going to do it.
Then you will put your finger in that glue pot. I know.
You know, nothing's changed. Everything changes and nothing changes, you know, it's that thing. So
so talk us through your school art reports at school.
basically,
were you enthusiastic?
I was wildly enthusiastic. I don't think I was that brilliant at it. I was like, it was more enthusiasm than anything else. And I think it was that thing where basically I was enthusiastic, but I'd got quite a short attention span. So, believe it or not. But basically, it was one of those things where I would start by thinking, oh, I'm going to make something that looks like that. And then I'd sit down and kind of observe it for 2 seconds. And then I'd start drawing the things that I thought it should look like. So it was never really an observation of what I was looking at. It was more like a walk through my head. So,
which we love, and we've already established that that's quite a journey.
It is quite a journey, yes. This is true. It's not necessarily a good thing, but it is quite a journey.
It's quite entertaining.
But it's an amusing place. But yeah, put your seatbelt on. That's all I'm saying. But it's one of those things that you kind of think, well, yeah, I think it was one of those things. I don't think anyone thought I was going to take art as a career, that's for sure. So, but I just kind of loved it. And then I just kind of really did the things that I enjoyed. And then I really enjoyed textiles at school. And I kind of just went along and did the things that I enjoyed, as well as all the other subjects that you had to do as well. And yeah, ended up in textiles. But as I say, I was always that sticky-fingered child who had to touch everything to find their way around the world. And it was that thing about, you know, it was always don't touch it. And you're kind of like, well, if people have made things correctly, you want to touch them.
Yeah.
You know,
you're just quality control.
I like that. I wish you'd been around at the time. But yeah, so it's that thing where it was very much that. I kind of like just the process of enjoying something. Like, it's the same reason why I put this jacket on this morning. It's made of velvet. It's all sparkly and shiny. You want to touch it. It feels great when you wear it. So it makes you smile. That's the thing why I love art. You know,
Perfect.
It should feel great. It should be a good thing for you to
And
be
that's
in.
your embroidery as well.
Yeah.
You know, you want to. I want to have a look at those flowers. I want to see them in depth.
You want to touch them. You want to feel them. You want to enjoy them. You want them to be in your life. They want you to reflect the things that you're feeling at the moment, to cheer you up. Like it should be good. It should be a good day when you sit down for embroidery. You know.
Should be. It will be. It absolutely will be.
Right. What I wanted to do while I was doing this demonstration was I'm going to show you this little needle threader, because I know that people have previously said they struggle. Part of the thing that they struggle with is threading the needle. So I've put the needle in, eye end first. That always helps. And you just rest the thread on the top, and then you're just going to press the button a couple of times, and then in theory it should be threaded for you.
It moves the needle.
Ta-da!
Has it done it?
It is.
Nice.
Yeah.
How easy is that?
Yeah, exactly. So there's no reason not to thread, not to stitch now, because you know you can thread your needles.
It sounds really crazy, doesn't it? I am in complete denial that I need glasses. Complete denial. And I wonder why I have a constant headache.
Okay.
Which I blame on having children. And I get my little light and I'm like, oh yeah, that's better. I've got the light now, that's good.
Have you got the magnifier yet? You haven't gone to that stage?
Right, okay, so the sad thing is I have glasses that have lights either side.
Like Inspector Gadget?
Yeah.
You'd rather look like Inspector Gadget than have glasses. Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
No, you put it that way.
Does it hold your cup of tea at the same time and maybe give you a back rub?
I love that. That's where I'm aiming for. Yeah, so when I get over the denial and get glasses and stop getting headaches, that'll be amazing. But in the meantime, I realised that I do actually need a needle threader because I can no longer see the eye. It's ridiculous.
Well, that doesn't help,
I need the Go-Go Gadget arms to have it far enough away.
It's not that your eyes are bad, it's your arms have shrunk.
That's it! That's it! I will tell the opticians
this is it. You just need extendable arms.
That's it. If I had the Go-Go Gadget arms, I wouldn't need glasses.
Well, you see, the thing is, you were saying earlier about when you were grown up, you're going to stitch, do embroidery. I have the most rampant Peter Pan complex, and everyone who knows me knows that this is the case. So
you have a rampant what?
Peter Pan complex.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah,
Massive.
I missed the second bit. I stopped at rampant and went, okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah, no, it's a rampant Peter Pan complex. So
Okay,
I will fully say when people kind of my age say, you know, are we going to be this age this year? I'm like, stop taking me with you. Stop it. So
well, you forget how old you are anyway. So that's fine.
I mean, I've got a twin, so actually, I used to ask him how old we were when I was filling forms in because I don't remember.
Yeah, well,
so unless it's a really important birthday and everyone tells you, I don't care. So I've got to the point now. I really don't care about how old I am because I'm just enjoying myself and let's see what happens.
Like, what's the other option?
Enjoy the ride. That's what I say. So I'm like rampant Peter Pan complex. Always have, always will. Not going to sew my own shadow on. That's it. It's there. It's out there. So I think you should start stitching embroidery. It's nothing to do with being a grown up because I'm so not a grown up.
No, it's just that I won't be doing everything else. It's a time thing.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
And that will happen when I go. Oh, okay, I should say when the kids grow up. I will embroider.
When they can thread your needles up for you.
Perfect. They can
well, they
do
can
it with
use
that.
a machine now. That's
well, no, they use that. It's great.
So,
it's absolutely great.
So I'm just using the light thread now to finish off round the end. And you might be wondering why you're going to all these efforts to do something that you're going to cover up, but this is what's going to help you get a lovely, sharp, defined edge. And you want to make sure your stitches are nice and small, so you're looking at about 2 millimeters in length. And the reason for that is that particularly when you're going around curves, you want to hold that shape, but also if you get too long with it, the stitches just aren't going to support the satin stitch that you're trying to create. So you're going to end up with an edge like a donkey's hind leg anyway.
No, we've got donkeys and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with a wonky leg. It's fine. They belong on a donkey. It's a wonky donkey. It's fine. It's an attractive feature on a donkey. It's just not attractive on a stitched edge. So
we see one of our donkeys has got a wry hoof, and it's taken us a couple of years to grow out this said wry hoof.
Gone awry, or what does that mean?
It means sort of bulges out at the side.
Oh.
So it's meant a special diet, special this, special
like
that.
Like a bunion?
Donkey bunions.
A donkey bunion.
Well, I don't know.
Was it because he wore high heels when he was young?
Well, with Daisy, it really wouldn't surprise me. Gertie less so, but with Daisy, yeah.
Party donkey.
Yeah, she was. Emma, who works with us, we both used to work in the costume department at the RSC.
Yes.
And which meant that we had to go to all the press night parties.
Oh.
Yeah, they were fun. and I'm not. Yeah, I can't lie. A lot of fun was had, and then regularly it would be sort of 5:30 in the morning. We'd get home and then go, what do we do now? There's no point in going to bed, so we'd just get the horses and go for a ride, or just play with the donkey's ears for a bit.
Anything to keep you out of trouble.
Entertain ourselves.
Well,
absolutely.
Quite. You get
that's
to that
how
point,
long
don't you?
We've had the donkeys for over 20
that's
years.
That's a long time to have a donkey.
Well, they live for donkey's years.
Well, this is true. Silly me. Oh dear. Right. Well, I don't even know how we got onto the donkey bunions, but I never know where the conversation's going with you.
But me.
I like it. It's all you, Natasha. All
it's
you.
All me. All me.
Right. What I'm going to do is we want to put the stitching in at 45 degrees. So I'm going to start in the middle of the middle colour. And it just means that if you start in the middle of the shape, you've got less distance to go wrong. So if I started at the bottom, it's a small area. I have to set up my stitch and it might not necessarily be correct. And by the time I get to the top, if my stitches change slightly and slightly and slightly, by the time I'm at the top, it's completely off. So I just want to try and maintain that 45 degrees, so I'm coming up just on the outside of the split stitch and I'm putting my needle against the outside of the split stitch and straight down. So
okay.
It basically fills in that shape.
But you're going are you going across?
I am, yeah, diagonally.
Oh.
45 degrees. And you want to try and maintain that 45 degrees.
Oh, so yeah. I thought you meant like that was the angle you were putting the needle in. I misunderstood.
Oh, no, sorry. No, it's the stitch itself is 45 degrees to the shape that you're doing. So, and all of that is explained in the instructions and the photos, and the stitch diagram has the angles drawn on.
And if you haven't got it by then, give up. I mean,
well, if you haven't got it by then, maybe you don't. It's not meant to be. So maybe you should
maybe
just
you're not
do
grown
it.
Up enough.
maybe you're not enough of a child. The day that you're done with adulting is probably the day that you're ready to do your needle case. But it's yeah. So if you, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I've done them at 45 degrees. So if I bring my finished one round, can you see that the angle changes? It's 45 degrees to the shape all the way round, so it gives you a lovely little kind of light ray on it. So it kind of suggests the light bouncing off it. And it's just, as I say, by changing the angle, you could do it at, 90 degrees to the shape if you wanted. That's absolutely fine. But
it wouldn't look as good.
At 45. Well, it's just a design choice, isn't it? At the end of the day, you could alternate. You could do every other one at 45. I know.
Yeah, but the way that you've done it, like you say, it means the light looks like the light's bouncing off it.
Yeah. So
like
it's just a bit of a variant. So you can see it fills in quite quickly. And
Can I ask, is that already marked on the...
Yep, the design's all marked on.
Okay, so you don't have to draw it on, you have to get pens or anything like
it's
that?
all marked on, so it's ready to go.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah, and...
and what is the base?
It's a linen mix. It's a linen cotton mix, so it's got a nice weight to it, but it also stitches quite nicely, and it's not going to fray to hell while you're stitching it. Because when you're actually constructing it up, it's not going to just disintegrate in your fingers, because we're not putting any linings in between. Yeah. It's just got a nice flexible weight.
So some people zigzag stitch around the edge of their fabric piece,
you can do
or
that.
overlock the edge.
Some people like to tape the edge. It's completely fine to do that. Not a problem. You've got extra amount in the kit. It's not going to be right against the stitch area. So.
Okay, no, this is good. I need to ask all of the all the dumb questions so that nobody else has to.
So what I'm going to do is I want to change colour now. So I'm going to, where I want to transition into the light, I'm going to leave a thread width gap, and I'm going to put just a single stitch on its own. And I'm just going to bring this up to the bottom so that I can do the same thing there. And I've got a reasonable amount of this thread, and it's still in good condition, so I can bring that up for the next petal. So I'm just hang on.
What's bad condition thread?
Basically, if it starts to look stressed, like it looks fluffy or fuzzy, or if it's thinning in any way, or if it feels like it's catching when you're pulling it through the fabric, then that's the point at which you think that's a stressed thread. So yeah, nobody wants a stressed thread.
So they don't. This is meant to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that light colour, and I'm just going to fill that gap in. So.
Oh, you're so clever. It's
just
so beautiful.
Eases them together. So just a stitch or two to fill the gap.
So I have to ask a strange question. Well, I don't have to, I'm going to.
Please do. Stranger the better.
Have you enjoyed lockdown? Are you one of the few people that's gone, lockdown's been great?
Do you know what? In a weird way, I kind of have. It's been really odd for me because I'm normally travelling all the time. And so I don't think I've actually been stationary as long as this since I was at university, or actually when I was at the school training, I was there for 3 years. So since then, so since 2003, I've kind of been bobbing about all over the place. So this has probably been the longest time I've been still, not travelling anywhere. So in a way, it's been quite nice. I've been quite constructed. I've been working through my kits and my instructions, and been working on new websites. That's exciting. I'm working on kind of some design projects and things, but. Yeah, I mean, I've been decluttering my wardrobe, all the normal things, But
hang on, you love a bit of clutter.
I do love a bit of clutter, but
it's the other half that doesn't like clutter.
Oh, he hates clutter.
Yeah,
it's a really unhappy place for him. So, but yeah, no, it's one of those things that those books that you've already read and you're not going to read them again because you liked them the first time, but you wouldn't read them again. I've been kind of taking those to the charity shop and passing those on to friends. No, it's you've got books that you're going to read again and again and again. Yeah. And there's some books that you're like, I've done it, it was good, but now I'm done. I'm never going to read that again.
Yeah, so, but I still so being a parent means you get zero time to read a book. I high-fived myself for managing to read an entire book on holiday. It's the first entire audiobooks are my friend. Yeah, audiobooks absolutely fine. Absolutely my friend. That's how I get my book fix.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled to have actually read an entire book on holiday. This has been the first book in years. So that's great for me. Yeah. So actually they're like trophies. It's like, here's an entire book I managed to read.
Well,
I got to the end.
Can I point out, right? I have this thing with friends and family where I taught a very lovely American lady a few years ago, and we'd been for dinner or lunch, and there was food down her top, and I'd said, oh, you've got a bit of food down your top, and she went, oh no, it's fine, it's a dinner medal. And I was like, what? And she was like, it's a dinner medal. Wear your dinner medals with pride.
I love her.
And she was just rocking the food stains. And I mean, she changed at the end of the day. But,
yeah.
But I mean, it just made me laugh. So now if people drop things, because then, they're normally like, oh, you know, and I'm just like, enjoy your dinner medal. It's
absolutely,
fine.
absolutely.
So it's a bit like that.
And when I was pregnant,
turning it over, isn't it?
And had massive boobs, it just stopped. It was just a dinner ledge.
Yeah,
it was fine.
Never had that problem.
Yeah, no, it was fine. It was all good. It was all good.
But yeah. So no, I've been decluttering. I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't need my hot pants from when I was 18.
Hey, look, the fact that you could ever fit into hot pants is impressive. Again,
you can get hot pants in every size you like. I mean, come on.
Wardrobe
you don't have
medals.
to be Kylie to have hot pants. But it's all I'm saying is I'm probably at this age not going to wear hot pants again. I'm cool with that.
Oh, you've got the legs. You've got the legs, McCook.
Yeah. Could and should are different things.
Oh,
it's I'm cool with that though. I wore my hot pants. I enjoyed the hot pants. I've got those memories. That's
I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed those hot pants.
So so it's one of those things. So decluttering the wardrobe. It's been quite a nostalgia trip. It has to be said. It's been like, oh, I remember that when I found shoes that I didn't even know I'd got.
Beautiful.
It's like I've been shopping.
Oh, amazing! I love it when that happens.
Yeah, it's great. Which, I mean, my partner was like, don't you think that's a bit obscene that you've got shoes that you didn't know you've got, which means that you've got that many shoes? And I was like, no. No. Because it means that I don't have to go shopping for shoes.
Yeah.
And he was like, right.
Because you obviously like them enough to buy them in the first place.
Well, exactly.
Right?
I mean, they're beautiful shoes. So I was just like, okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That.
So.
Oh, he's got a lot to learn.
Yeah, I mean, he's great in a lot of ways. But as I say, it really kind of brings him joy when he sees some things going out of the house. So it's been quite funny.
How nice that you could bring that joy for him.
Well, I do expect almost a round of applause when I send a bag to the charity shop. It has to be said.
So hang on a minute, because I've got bags to go to the charity shop, but nowhere's taken them near us.
Oh yeah, there was a charity that I rang them up and I'd said, are you accepting things? And they were like, what have you got? And I explained what I've got.
You went Kylie's hot pants.
Kylie's hot pants. Yeah, and they'd said, oh yeah, well, we can do that. We just need to arrange a date when you bring it round.
Oh, okay.
So, and they've got a collection, some of them have got collection base, so you take it round to the back or whatever. And they've got an area that it sits in, that they don't touch it for a couple of days, and then...
Right.
So...
Because I decluttered the kids' toys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You'll notice it because you probably tripped over it on the way in, because I don't know what to do with it now.
Right. Well, as I say, I mean, I rang around and found some of the local ones, and most of them weren't accepting at the moment, but some of them were.
Okay.
And it was just making a date with them to drop it off.
Cool.
So yeah, so it's quite exciting.
Oh, we're covering all bases today.
I know. There's all sorts of information coming your way. So,
it's like a public service. That's what I like to think we provide.
I'd love to think that was the case. So what I've done is, you can see I've worked to the top there. It fills in, as I say, reasonably rapidly. You can have a chat while you're doing it, watch a bit of TV, listen to an audiobook, just enjoy yourself. I do all of the above. I put films on that I've seen, and like programs that I've kind of wanted to watch but never been that bothered about watching, full time, so I put those on in the background. The kind of program that you don't need to actually... Yeah, one eye on the embroidery, one eye on the program, kind of the occasional look up. But yeah, audiobooks, I listen to a lot, radio plays, that kind of thing. So it's, I love embroidery for that.
I've been listening to, and it's on BBC Sounds, what's it called? Cosmic Quests.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all about the universe.
Okay.
I've had to listen to it quite a lot to understand it.
Okay.
When I did physics A level, the only bit that I actually enjoyed was the universe and and all that kind of stuff. So I found this, but Freddie loves it as well. I don't know how much of it he actually understands, but he's well into his planets. So, and it just takes you through a time frame of when as humans we discovered different parts and how we got to our knowledge of where we are now with the world and the universe, and it blows my mind.
Sounds very deep. But also, Cosmic Quest does sound like it should be a 1970s glam rock shop.
Well, I mean, I would like it to be both. I would enjoy that hugely, and
like you should turn up and have deep conversations over chamomile tea. Like go and choose a funky outfit, and then plan your evening, have a conversation about the world and everything in it, and
off we go. So that's and generally it sends me off to sleep, which is great. So I've had to listen to it quite a lot to actually get
I've got the most fantastic app that I listen to, and it's my favourite is Stephen Fry telling you sleep stories.
Is there such a thing?
Yes. It's an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing.
Sleep Stories with Stephen Fry. Where do I find that?
Yeah, can I say the name of the app?
Yeah.
It's an app called Calm, and it's so good. Part of it is free. You can test it out, and then parts of it you pay for.
Yeah.
But they release new sleep stories, and they've got all these different people like Matthew McConaughey. He goes, "Well, hello there." At the start of his, it's very nice. And then there's Stephen Fry. I love Stephen Fry's because he's got 2 so far, and he's just got the most hypnotic voice. He reminds me of my English literature teacher when I was doing A-levels, and he used to he was the most amazing man, and he used to just sit there and he'd like lull you, and then suddenly he'd go, "Wow, yeah, can't you see how good this is?" And you'd just be like, yeah. And but Stephen Fry doesn't do that because he wants you to sleep. So
what about Brian Blessed? I'd like him to do one.
I met him. He was amazing. Yeah, when I did my teaching qualification, he gave out the graduation certificates.
I would work however many years you spent stitching just for that.
He was brilliant. The ceremony itself went on about 3 hours extra than it should have done because he talked so much.
Amazing.
But he was brilliant.
Did they give him a microphone or not bother?
Oh, I don't know if he was clipped on, but he was very loud. He must have been turned right down. He booms, but he's brilliant. And he's like, he rescues animals, he climbs mountains, he does all sorts of things. Really interesting guy, but he's so funny. And I was so excited to meet him. I was kind of like bounded up. I was like a puppy, like to get my certificate. And you could see him kind of go. It's like I shook the nerves of Brian Blessed. Like, not on purpose, but he was like, he went,
"Can you embroider that
on
on
a family?"
bag?
Yeah, on the back of a jacket or something. And he was like, "Are your family out here? Because I think you need a photograph." I was like, "Oh yeah." So I'll go right for there. So oh my god, it's brilliant, great. But yeah, I'm not sure he would make you sleep. I'm not sure.
We tried a sleep app with the kids.
Oh, did it work?
No, because Brian Blessed was one of the voices, and it was amazing. It was really good.
This one does have some children's ones on as well.
Okay.
So it's quite. Try it. There's all sorts
I'm
of things.
thinking maybe this is the top that we, embroider about Brian Blessed on the back.
On the back, in gold work.
I would love that if you just spun around.
Just that.
Me and Brian.
Yeah. That. So yeah, it did look a bit uncertain. It was like, one of those moments where somebody thinks you're either going to charge at them or something untoward. You could see his face just going, "I'm assessing this. I don't know where it's going." So yeah.
Whoever thought that we would get Wonky Donkey Legs and Brian Blessed all in one
Donkey
show?
Bunions and Brian Blessed. Yeah. It's
not together. But,
what's not to like about it? Come on.
I don't know.
Glitter, Brian Blessed, Donkey Bunions.
And a bit of embroidery thrown in.
On the side. Not the most important bit, clearly. Right.
There'll be complaints.
Well, everyone likes a bit of chat.
I haven't even been on Facebook to say good morning to everyone. How very rude of me. I'm so sorry, everyone. I got overexcited. Overexcited. Should we see who's watching? If anyone's watching.
See if anyone's out there. Is anybody out there?
It's
So Cosmic Quest. So, whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to get some thread together to show you some of the leaves.
Oh, nice. Yeah, do that.
So, I'm going to move this little baby over and show you the leaf on the other side, I think. I'm just taking my needles out. Just relocating my frame.
Are you?
Yes. So just moving across to the other side so you
Okay,
can see.
so it's not I'm going to have to go and change the camera
Oh,
angle
no,
or
I'll
anything.
fiddle it back into
That's all right then.
screen.
We've
You'll
got
be all
Laurie. Oh, hang on. We've got Laurie, we've got Julia, we've got Anna Sewing Nuts. Anna says, don't talk about the dinner ledge. It's real, Anna. It's a thing. It's a thing.
The what?
Yeah. Elizabeth says, I think a cull of toys is so sad. I've still got mine. What I would just like to say, Elizabeth, it was getting rid of the plastic to bring in wooden toys, like proper traditional wooden toys, which they play with far more.
Good.
And then they can keep those. That's absolutely fine. And then I can keep those for grandchildren, but not for a long, long time. Who else have we got? Ginny's on board, Sally's on board, Karen's here, hello. Loving this morning's show and the chat. And Sil is also enjoying the chat today. And Elizabeth loves a bit of Stephen Fry. What's not to love?
What's not to love about Stephen Fry?
Yeah.
Absolute ledge.
Ginny says, no toy culls, never, 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 never. Look, it's the plastic. I just can't bear the plastic. It's got to go. It can go to somebody else and they can
somebody else can enjoy it.
And then we'll have all the nice traditional stuff.
It's good.
Elizabeth,
good.
I have my mother's rocking horse.
Oh.
So she said that she's still got a rocking horse.
You need to make him a saddle cloth.
He might have one.
An embroidered saddle cloth.
Yeah. That Elton John would be proud of. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I can see it already. I can see it. Oh. Yes. Sue says you two are hilarious. I mean, we enjoy ourselves.
You have to laugh. You have to laugh, don't you? That's the thing.
Absolutely.
So, oh dear. Right.
Well, yeah, what do we do?
Well, it's nice to have you out there. Hello.
There are people out there.
Yeah. Right, so shall we come back to the embroidery
go on
screen? Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you fly stitch, and I just want to show you the little, would help if I turned it over, wouldn't it? So the leaf here, we're going to do it in fly stitch, and you can see it changes colour again from light through mid-green to dark.
Clever. Yeah.
And then I've also flecked in yellow straight stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave a little gap. So you start by putting a straight stitch in the tip. I'm just going to, there you go, you can see that even better. Oh, beautiful. Right, so come up on one side on the outside line, go down opposite on the outside line, and then come up in the centre in the loop and pull, and then allow a little stitch to just finish it off on the central line, and then allow a gap, come up on the first side, go down on the second side, come up in the centre, allowing a similar sized gap as you've travelled at the sides as well, because otherwise you'll end up losing your angle.
Okay.
And go down. So it's a bit like an open lazy daisy.
Okay. So you'll get a lazy daisy in there somewhere.
Fling a lazy daisy in there somewhere.
Sue would like to know, can you use a thread conditioner on the threads before sewing?
I prefer not to, personally.
Is that because you're using great quality threads anyway?
Yeah, the thread shouldn't need conditioning. If you use short lengths and deal with them in the way that I'm showing you, then it shouldn't actually be a problem. The only time I use thread conditioner, and it's not actually conditioner, it's beeswax, is when I'm using beads or if I'm using gold work.
Oh, so it slides better.
Yeah, so it doesn't catch on any of the edges. But as I say, some of the thread conditioners you have to be careful with, because some of them actually decay the threads quicker over time than right. If you didn't have the thread conditioner on it. So obviously kind of defeats the purpose of part of having the thread conditioner on. So because all of these pieces that I stitch, because you avoid extra products like that, they'll last a really long time. So the idea is they're heritage pieces, so you pass them on and they'll kind of last.
They really are. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. And I think, you know, for as much as this would take me quite some time to do, which is why I think that needlework is such a great investment, because your pounds spent in terms of hours of pleasure is superb.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's one of those things. I've said many a time. I inherited back the needle case that I made for my grandma.
Oh.
And I've still got it.
See, that's lovely though, isn't it? And this, and you know, it's something that will be passed down. And I just think...
I mean, it's really rubbish.
It doesn't matter though, does it?
No, but it's got her name embroidered on it. And most of the balloons go vertically. One goes horizontally for some strange reason. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, that's life. If all your balloons aren't popped, you're doing all right. One of them's withered in the corner. You know, you're all right. Never mind that they're flying to their own wind. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. Well, that's what one is. I don't know what I was thinking, but there we go. Yeah, it's all good.
But it's that thing though. It's like, as I say, it's the type of thing you spend your time on it, you pass them on, and I just think there's something lovely about that. You kind of like, you've got something to show for every moment you spend on it, you know, so it develops under your fingertips. You can see it developing. You can see where you spent your time, which is so unlike everything else that we do these days.
It is. And I mean, my kids, my children have got my grandmother's Beatrix Potter embroideries that she did.
See, it's lovely.
And they've been reframed and hung in their bedrooms, and each grandchild has got some.
Such a nice legacy to have though, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've got a big tapestry that she did, which I have had framed again, so that, because it just reminds me of her. Yeah. And my other gran, when she died, I got the tapestry fireplace thing that she did. Yeah. So we've got that. So all of these things, they have a story, they get passed down, they get remembered. You're right, you know. And
I think it's that thing as well that it doesn't matter how much time passes, a minute now is the same as a minute then. Yeah. And that you know that these skills haven't altered and that they haven't changed, and the process of actually laying your hands on it, touching something that they touch, there's something really special about that, that they've taken that time to make something and it's meant something to them.
And the smell that comes with it. Yeah. I did a show the other day with my grandmother's Singer machine. Yeah. And the minute it came out, I could smell the oil, and I was like, I was that child again. Yeah. In her front bedroom, stitching.
It does, and I just think there's a magical thing to that, and I think you can't underestimate that. We've talked about plastic toys and things like that, but you know, there is such a throwaway culture, and we need to look at that process. And as I say, it's the amount of time that you're prepared to spend on something, the amount of money that you're prepared to spend on something. So having something that's worth having once rather than 3 things that you will choose to replace something with. And I think it's that process, isn't it? But we're all kind of educating ourselves as we kind of go.
Well, that's why I've replaced with the wooden toys. Yeah. So, and also I find that Freddie and Emily play together with the wooden toys, whereas they didn't with the plastic. Yeah. And the plastic didn't hold their attention, but the wooden ones, because they don't have character faces built in, they have to put the characters on them.
But there's more engagement, and I think, again, we're coming back to it being tactile. Yeah. Wood just feels lovely.
Yeah. You know, absolutely.
It's just enjoyable to feel. Yeah. You know, if they're made well in the first place, they'll last, and it'll continue to feel good. And in fact, the texture of it will improve over time. Yeah. You know, because the process of touching that wood,
of course,
will just make it so much nicer, so much more tactile, smoother.
And it'll be passed down. Yeah. They won't be thrown away, don't you worry.
Exactly.
Julia says, loving this morning's chat, and my Puffins et al. Have just arrived. Happy Tuesday.
How exciting.
Yes. The fabric puffins that we had on last week's show.
I love a puffin.
Yeah, everyone loves it. Have you seen puffins up in Scotland?
Yes.
Oh, it's the dream.
I went... Puffins are my mum's favourite bird, and I took my mum and dad to Mull, and we went to Iona and Fingal's Cave. And
that's what this collection was based around.
Yes, because there's Iona. A particular island just right by there that you go. And when you go to see Iona, you can arrange to go and see this Puffin Island, and they're just flocks of these little puffins. They're quite angry birds. In a nice way. They look like they're marching at you when they kind of walk. They're far more gamey when they're flying and on the water than they are when they're walking.
Was it like they were meeting Brian Blessed?
Across the stage, I'm getting there. Yeah, Well, they do walk like that, and they kind of, because of their expressions, that kind of sharp arch.
Yeah.
Where they look really kind of like, people always say they look clownish because of the colour, but I always think they look quite elegant, like an arched eyebrow, because they look at you kind of like from the side. And but when you see them marching at you, they look a bit belligerent.
Oh,
I really like that though.
Yeah, no, I'm all over that. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And so that this entire fabric range was based on.
I love that
on
belligerent puffins.
Yeah, yeah, and anything that has a baby called a puffling.
I know.
Perfect.
See, what's not to like about that? That's probably the best name for a baby anything, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, Elizabeth said that you saw her Nana's fireplace tapestry and a photo on Facebook.
Did I?
Yep, and you named the artist in seconds.
Oh.
Because you're a clever girl, she said.
Thank you. I'm glad I pleased you. I don't know. I can't think when that would have been, but give me more clues, Elizabeth.
Give us more. Give me more clues. Jan says, sorry she was late this morning. Where can I get the frame that Helen is using? Oh, we should stock these.
Yeah, they're really useful. It's a table clamp that I'm using. So it's got a barrel clamp, but these they come in different sizes, the frames that attach into it. So it's got a dowel. So basically you can get a seat frame or a barrel clamp.
Shall we source them for next time? Can we source them for next time?
Yeah.
We'll source them for next time for you.
That's the barrel clamp. And it fits on. Yeah, because I'm here next month.
There we go. Yeah, so this is going to be a monthly slot.
Yes. So
this is the what we're working on for those who have just joined. Jan, it's okay. I'm sure you're not the only one.
Stuck in traffic. Today was the first time I was stuck in traffic, and I was like, "Is everybody going back to work as well as school?"
Yeah, of course they are. September traffic. That's what we're at. So we are making. Do you want to actually? If I go close up, do you want to show Jan what we're making? It's not just. I feel like I'm picking on Jan now. It's not
right.
Just
So we're
Jan.
making a little needle case. So it's a little arts and crafts English style needle case, which you can open with your little buttonhole loop, and then has little sheets in it of felt for your needles. And then we're doing an arts and crafts Scottish start inspired by Rennie Mackintosh.
Nice.
Embroidery on glaze and Richelieu kit. So that's that.
That was quite a lot of words with
a lot of information.
Well, no, I just don't really know how to
just
do
a
it.
lot of noise. yeah.
I'm hoping it will
I've
all
had
become
that levelled
clear.
at me before. We'll come to that though. I'm going to demonstrate some of the eyelets and things, so it will become clear.
Well, I love that.
It will be fine.
This leaf is shaping up a tree.
It is, isn't it? So basically, you can see I've gone from into the medium colour now, and you'll do the same thing as you go through, and you'll work into the light. So I'm just going to finish this one off, and then I'm going to show you putting the yellow into it is so straightforward. So I'm just going to.
Are you leaving gaps in between?
I am, yes. I'm going to pop the yellow into the gaps.
Oh.
So.
Now you source all these threads. You come up with with all of these. These are all your designs.
Yep.
Clever
Yep.
thing.
Yep. So I just design things that I'm inspired by at the time. Things that I think I will enjoy making, and that I hope people enjoy making at home. And then basically I work through like that. So it's just, I think about different techniques. There's so many techniques in embroidery as well. So you just kind of choose a technique and you choose an item, and then you kind of marry them together and think about what design you want to do. So yeah, it's a real mix. So these ones I'd been looking at arts and crafts. So I'd been looking at Scottish arts and crafts is so drastically different to English arts and crafts, and so go on. You've got a question?
I'm processing that, because obviously you've got Rennie Mackintosh with your arts and crafts, and then I'm thinking, well, William Morris, I want to say, was arts and crafts.
Yeah, so
as
William,
well.
definitely, one of the luminaries of arts and crafts. So I mean, Morris actually did design work for the Royal School where I trained. So you've got people like Edward Burne-Jones, Walter Crane, Lewis Day, May Morris, William's daughter. She actually taught and designed at the Royal School as well where I trained. So there's such a rich heritage of stitch, and because they were looking at handcrafts and it was tied into that period where people were really concerned, the rise of industrial revolution and the kind of rise of the machine, people were concerned that those handcrafts and those skills were going to be lost. Hello, kitty cat. So it was one of those things that we basically, that there was a huge rise of backlash against that. So the idea of the arts and crafts was to maintain, to look back to a bygone age, but also to kind of look at maintaining those handcraft skills, that were really concerned that there was going to be loss of them.
Yeah.
So yes, that ties together, but the influence, one of the main influences in England was the kind of medieval and Gothic.
Yeah.
Whereas in Scotland, one of the big influences was Japan. So
hence the cleaner.
Yeah, it's a lot cleaner. It's crisp. It actually it looks really fresh.
Yeah, it does look really fresh,
even today,
and timeless.
So yeah, so it's when you go into one of Charles Ronnie McIntosh's designs. I mean, there's quite a few of them still, fortunately. But you walk into them and you're kind of like surprised at how much it feels very kind of almost Scandinavian as well in a way, and you kind of think, I could live in this house. Sometimes
they might object.
Oh yeah, they might object. They might object to that, but it has that feel to it that you can't. It feels very modern.
Yeah.
It's very fresh today even, and I think there was a real kind of. It was a really interesting time because there was quite a difference in opinion on women's roles within those crafts
very true,
as well.
Very true.
So places like the Glasgow School of Art, for example, they were really forward thinking. They were one of the first places to have embroidery and textiles department on the same level of all the other arts and crafts.
Oh wow.
And they really kind of were putting out embroidery classes for the masses as well. So it was a really interesting place and time to be, but really different focuses. So if it's something that you're interested in, really kind of looking at different points of arts and crafts in different places in the country, there's quite a difference, and we kind of put it all under one umbrella head. But
you're right, because William Morris is sort of I want to say darker, but it's cozier. If
it's very crisp design, but it's very compact. There's a lot of information, visual information in there,
and quite earthy,
very colourful, very earthy. Those kind of natural tones, and it's really interesting because both sets are very inspired by nature, like organic design, but the way that they take them, some of the Scottish stuff's quite abstract. It kind of abstracts away from the actual natural form, whereas whilst it's very design-led, the William Morris stuff, for example, you can tell what flower you're looking at.
Yeah.
That's not the case with some of the Scottish stuff. It's more the feel of something and the
stylized
symbolism of something than the actual realism of the design. So it's interesting. I don't know how we got on this subject, but
no, but I'm loving it. June would like to know, do you have a favourite stitching craft?
Ooh. If I'd got a desert island stitch.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. I'd have to maybe go Jacobean because it's the ultimate stitch sampler. So you get to cover a lot of different types of stitching within Jacobean. So a lot of surface stitches and textures, and you can do it in silk, on fine fabrics, or you can do it, which is the later part of the period, and then you can do it in wools on linen fabrics at the start of the kind of design transition. And if I could be cheeky and throw a little bit of gold work in there,
I don't think that's ever cheeky. I think it should be saluted.
So if I maybe 1.5 techniques.
When did gold work come into its own?
Crikey, I mean, we've had gold work for centuries. I mean, it's such an old technique, and we've associated metal threads with the most important rituals in our lives, worldwide, for centuries. Yeah. But I mean, if you're looking at the Middle Ages, the medieval period, for example, we were world beating. Everybody in the kind of the West wanted English embroidery. It was called Opus Anglicanum, and it was based on two things: split stitch, which is one of the things that we've seen.
We've done that today,
but very expressively used, and for figures and faces. But then there was a lot of gold work in it, and it was because they basically engineered a stitch called underside couching, which creates a little hinge, so you can use huge amounts of gold. And unlike if you used it just couched, which can kind of almost armour plate the fabric, it creates a hinge in it, so it gives the fabric movement, so you can use more of this. So I mean, really early, I mean, that was kind of like 11 AD if you're kind of looking at the kind of St Cuthbert's stuff,
Yeah,
St Cuthbert's Manor Pool in Durham onwards. So yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, it was often used originally for church works, the ecclesiastical, because they'd got the funds and it was related so closely to worship as well. But then the secular, so the state, started to get in on that because they realised there was a real theatre to that, and you could really grasp the attention because people's eye that it's caught by light. So your eye goes to the light in every situation. So gold makes light bounce across it. So your eye will travel across that garment or that saddlecloth or that alt frontal.
Which Elizabeth is going to have to do for her horse because,
do you know? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's why it was used so extensively with state and still is. So if you think about the coronation robes, the military, they've all got gold work. So it's we still link it to all the ceremonial. So, you know, things like the Masonic banners and you know,
your top.
Things like the Torah. But I was going to say the Torah cloths, but my top,
your top will work. Yep.
Yes, but yeah, why not? But yeah, so it's been so entrenched in our important events. But yeah, so we kind of like the interesting thing with textiles is in embroidery, we've all got an awareness of it, but because it's so entrenched in a lot of our traditions, you quite often don't realise.
Notice, yeah.
So
you notice it, but you don't realise it's there.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Right, shall I show you how to pop the yellow into this?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we've got these gaps now. If we can come on to the...
we were chatting so much that I timed out over here.
You've just timed out of the thing. Yeah.
My software is timed out. It's all good. We're back on.
We're good. Right,
there
great. So what I'm going to do is you could do it in every other one or you could do it in every one, but come up on the outside line and then just dip down into the centre. And you can just throw in a straight stitch of the yellow. And you can see it's just, if I just move my hand out of the way and do that with this hand, you can see it just really puts that flare of colour in.
It's like gold work on a budget.
Exactly.
Yeah. Naomi says she can't wait to catch up tonight. It's peeking occasionally on my phone on her desk. It's all right, Naomi, we won't tell anyone. It's fine. Carol says, how informative, better than school.
Do you know what? You have to make it fun. I love my subject. I love it. And every day's a school day. I learn things about it every day. And it just keeps me so fascinated and hooked in. But I think sharing that with people in a way that's fun and informative and relaxed is really important. Because
it has to be the way, doesn't it?
People often don't think it's for them. But then they kind of like, you chat about it or you kind of introduce people to things and they're kind of like, oh, okay, right, I didn't realise that. So, yeah, it is.
Rachel says, good morning, everyone.
Hello.
I'm not late. I just couldn't get on to Natasha Makes on Facebook on my phone this morning. I watch on YouTube on my TV, but comment from my phone. Helen is so knowledgeable. I'm really looking forward to her monthly visits.
Well,
we all are.
Thank you very much.
And Susan loves Jacobean. Went to the Royal School of Needlework class. It was worth it, worth doing. If you get the opportunity to get to one of the classes, also love doing a bit of gold work.
Absolutely.
And if you can't get to one of the classes, then you've got Helen here on a monthly basis. Oh yeah.
So you can see this builds in really quickly.
Doesn't it?
Yep. And you'll do that all the way down. So obviously you want to do your open fly stitch first and then this just fills in the gap.
What happens if you've left a bit too much of a gap?
You could put 2 stitches in there or you could just put it in the centre of that space and it will read. So
will it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. So because the background's quite neutral, so it'll be fine. So, right. Shall I show you eyelets?
Yes.
So shall we swap out of this one? So let's...
So that's covered the majority of the stitches.
Yes, so I mean there's trellis, which I know we've demonstrated before. There's stem stitch, I know we've demonstrated that before, and I'm actually going to demonstrate stem stitch on this one.
Okay.
And pistol stitches, lazy daisies. But they're all fully have diagrams, fully explained. It's very straightforward.
Okay.
So,
and that's what you'll get in the kit. So in the kit,
yes.
Have we got a kit to show?
Yes, you have. Hang on.
Oh.
Let me just swap it out.
Oh yeah, those large things right in front of me.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I don't know why I took this
Told you I need
apart, because
glasses.
I've got couldn't see the wood for the plastic there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what we've got, we have ribbon and the mother of pearl buttons, because it fastens with the mother of pearl button and has 2 decorative ones on there, so those are in there. You have 1, 2,
Do you want to lay it out?
4, 5, 6, 7 skeins. So I don't know, where shall I put that? Where we go?
There you go.
There?
There, yeah.
Okay, so 7 skeins. So you've got 3 of the green, like light, medium, dark. You've got 3 of the pink, light, medium, dark, and that lovely kind of butterscotch yellow.
You do choose these colours well.
Do you know what? I love colour.
I know you do.
I love it. I trained as a printer and dyer originally, and it, only as the years have gone by have I realised just how much I love colour. It's really funny. And it's really funny because I don't have, you know, people have colours that they kind of keep going to. I don't really do that. So I kind of like...
You don't even keep the same hair colour.
No,
Helen.
this is true. I get very bored. I get very bored. But it's one of those things that I kind of like, I change it all the time because I'll see so many things that I think, oh, that colour combination's amazing. Like I've got to share that with people, and I'll see things. And it could be absolutely anything. It could be stained glass windows. It could be a pavement slab I've just walked past. I mean,
those pavement slabs, they are inspirational.
I take photos all the time. Do you know what though? Depends on where you are, because some of them are, and some of the stone, like the brickwork you see in places, and like if it rains and there's dry bits next to it, they look completely different tones.
It changes it, yeah.
And so I take photos all the time on my phone. Like my phone is constantly telling me it's too much. It's too much. So I'm constantly having to like work out what I want to delete and what might be useful at some point. So yeah, I kind of keep design inspiration, colour inspiration on it, and it kind of reflects in the things that I then kind of churn out. So some of these can be really abstract kind of colour inspiration sources of origin. It could be a birthday card that I saw at a shop, or it could be completely bizarre kind of sources. You just see them and I just think, that's amazing, I need to remember that.
I remember in one of the interviews that I did with Kay Fassett, and he said that it could just be 2 people sat on a bench at the, on the underground, and he'll get excited about the colours of their t-shirts together. Yeah. I mean, to be that turned on the whole time and switched on and tuned into colour. Yeah.
But it makes things so happy though.
Yeah, just beautiful.
It's such a beautiful, happy thing, because it's like, it was really funny because I was talking to somebody the other week about how exciting I found colour, but I was dressed head to toe black, and they just kind of went. I was like, I don't mean just for me, just but everywhere.
Everyone else.
And you could see them just going, are you though? Are you? I was just like, if you want me to dress like a clown, I can. Like, would it help? I don't know. So, and then we've got.
That's an option.
It's always an option.
Next month.
You haven't seen the stuff I sent to the charity shop. So hot pants.
That's all that is.
Yeah, you've got your felt, and then you've got your fabric. So you've got your back. Yeah, you've got your 2 needles. Let's just park that in that one there. You've got your piece of fabric for the inside, which is just plain, and then you've got your marked out fabric for the outside. So, and your full set of instructions. So you've got your...
Do you want to show that close up?
Yes. Where are we going?
Well, there's your elbow.
Oh, it's very
basically
close.
Where your elbow is.
Just right there. Hello. Right, so just squat, pop a squat, I think is what the Americans call it. So
it's a full workout here.
It is. I feel my thighs complaining. So we've kind of got a list of what you get in the kit, and then you've got a stitch diagram,
it's really clear.
And then you get a colour plan.
It's all in there.
It's all going on. I can't separate the papers. And then stitch diagrams, so nice and clear. And then order of work, so you get nice clear up close photos, and then explanations of what you're doing and how.
It's
so
really
all the way through.
It is very, very clear, isn't it?
Yeah, and then construction notes as well. So it's exactly the same. You get photos explaining
Nice.
the construction. So if you're wondering how to get from the embroidery bit to the needle case bit, it's all in there.
Fabulous.
So, marvellous. So, yeah, right, that's that. And then shall I show the embroidery on glaze kit?
Yeah.
Whilst we're showing kits.
So the one that we've just done is the needle kit.
Spectacular.
Yes, it's beautiful. And so then next month we'll carry on in that series. So you're sort of starting a little series.
Yeah, so it's like a little etui. It's kind
of
what?
Etui. Oh.
It's more twee than it sounds. Basically, the idea is that it's a little tool set, and you'll have your needle case, you'll have a pin cushion, you'll have scissors keep in large and small, so you can put your embroidery snips or your dressmaking shears. You can put there'll be a thimble case, and I think the last thing is a tape measure cover case. So the idea is the whole thing goes together and it's a set, and you can either have one item out of it or the whole thing that goes together. So it's just a nice little kind of combination, really.
It's gorgeous. Can you believe that we started talking about this in January?
Shush.
And here we are in September.
But we've lost what, half a year? More than half a year? It doesn't count. It does not count.
It doesn't.
So I'm putting no pressure on myself whatsoever.
No, absolutely. Elizabeth says it's got nice big writing, no need for glasses at that stage.
It does. There's nothing worse, is there, than kind of like having to get your magnifier out, particularly for you with your extendable arms.
All right.
Extendable arms over there. This is like when my dad, right, he was in denial about needing glasses, and he bought himself a magnifying glass and looked like Sherlock Holmes for a while. And he'd stand by the window with his newspaper, like that. And we were like,
he's playing the trombone.
Dad, this looks far more ridiculous than just having glasses. and the thing that actually pushed him to go to the optician was that we went to midnight mass on Christmas Eve, and he had forgotten his magnifier and almost set the hymn sheet on fire by the flame candle on the end of the pew. So
that'd do it.
That was the point at which he got sent to the opticians.
Yep.
So
was he marched?
Yes. Yeah. Frog marched down as soon as they opened in the new year. So don't go to extreme lengths and set fire to things. You know,
I'll try really hard not to. And that's good. Fiona says, hello everyone, I'm late to the LM party, but I've been watching on mute on my phone whilst watching. The work-life balance is still not tipping in the right direction yet, but getting there.
Telling me about it.
A lot of people just mute me anyway, it's fine. I'm comfortable with that.
Well, we were talking this morning about your microphone, about you maybe doing a Marcel Marceau thing.
Oh, I forgot to turn it on.
Yeah, well, you forgot to turn it on, and I was just saying it's for you could just mime your way through. Yeah. Through.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
We have ways.
Yeah, of not making you talk, because in this particular case, yeah. Right, so for your embroidery on glaze and richelieu, so the Glasgow Rose, you've got cotton drill fabric, which is marked on with water erasable pen. The reason for that is that basically, once you've worked it, it's very fine, the finish of it, and you don't want to potentially have any kind of little paint marks or anything showing dye marks where I've printed it on. So it's on in water erasable pen,
and you've put that on already?
It's done. It's already done.
Right.
So the idea is it's straight to stitch, you can get on with it, and then once you've done it, you can just give it a little swill. So you can either just run it under a cold tap, and then leave it on a nice clean towel to dry on the side, or you can get a cotton bud if you're feeling a bit more cautious, and just like have a little dab at it with the wet cotton bud. Right,
my question is, and I remember this because one of our lovely viewers stitched a gorgeous piece for Emily, and she's got it up in her bedroom. Yeah. But when she came to wash part of it, that some of the threads bled, and you know, she had a bit, but you can't see it. It's amazing and love it. What happens if you have slightly grubby hands on white work?
Well,
Can you wash it?
The good thing is it's white on white, so you can clean it. So what you'd do is you'd get yourself a nice clean bowl, put your soap suds or baby shampoo.
Baby shampoo, there. Is that the way?
So because it's non-coloured, non-perfumed, that kind of thing can be done. anything that's kind of like not some strange colour for hand washing, that could also be done for kind of this kind of thing. You wouldn't use it on old textiles or anything like that.
No.
For new things, clean it, dissolve it into the water. Don't put it on the actual product, onto the embroidery, and then leave your embroidery on the top and let it just sink, and the grime should rise out of it.
Oh, okay.
And then just kind of sweep it out. So don't just rise it back up through your grime. Sweep it up underneath and out, and then replace your water a couple of times, and then do the same thing with clear water, so clean water, and then that should be sufficient. So, I mean, unless you're doing something disastrously, unless you're eating jammy dodgers while you're jam donuts while you're doing your stitching, hopefully.
I mean, you know,
I'm not judging, no. I'm just saying, probably best to avoid the white work for that. But,
so go for Krispy Kreme is what you're saying? Just the plain glazed Krispy Kreme.
You know, sticky fingers. It's not that I've got dirt on it, it's just that everything's stuck to the thing. So, but yeah, so if you, you shouldn't have to scrub it. So it's natural to have kind of oils on your hands and things like this. So that method will just clear it off and make it nice and ready and fresh to go.
I have another question. June says, I've got the needle case kit in my basket and I'm tempted to add some calico. Would the calico be suitable for embroidery? And if so, what weight?
Just general embroidery, yes, absolutely. Calico is lovely for just general embroidery, for sampling on, for backing of embroidery as well. If you're using a very fine fabric and want to add an extra layer just to give it a bit of security, it handles really well. Is it pre-washed or?
No, this will be one that you will have to wash first. So we've got lightweight, medium weight, good quality, which is the same weight as the medium weight. It's just a bit more robust, I guess. And then there's also the super wide, extra wide, 96-inch one.
Okay, I mean, depending on what you're wanting to embroider for, depends on the weight of the fabric that you go for, really. So you could use any single one of those to stitch on, but it's really up to you what you think you'd like to do at the end. So there's no point in having a super heavyweight fabric if you're just wanting to sample some stitches. So you'd probably go for a nice medium weight for general work. Would be advisable, but always make sure that it's either pre-washed, or if it's not pre-washed, then you wash it before you work on it, because if you then work it and then wash it, it'll shrink in and your embroidery won't shrink and it'll be all puckered. So always make sure that you've kind of decided whether it's pre-washed or not.
No, these are not pre-washed. They will need to be washed first.
So always just give it a good wash in the washing machine first, then, and then you're good to go. And it gets any finishing out of it as well, so it's quite nice. But yeah, so good luck. Hope it goes well. So in this kit, what we've got, as I say, we've got the cotton drill all marked on with the water erasable pen, and as I say, you can get, once you finish working, any of the blue lines that may be showing through or just seeing a little bit of it, you can just get rid of it, just dampen that and it'll go. You've got your needles as well. You've got your two types of thread. So you've got a white skein of stranded, and then which is what we're going to use for the satin stitch, and then we've got the cotton broder, which is a lovely cotton thread, but it's nice and thick compared to the stranded, and you use only the one strand of it, so you just use the full length, the full width of it, and you use that ready to go.
What length? You know, you said when we talked about our stressed thread, stressed thread, and you said, you know, don't use too long a thread because it'll get stressed.
Yeah.
How long do you suggest?
Yeah, so the standard length is a fingertip to elbow length, so it's an Ella and Elm. It's what we always used to buy threads in. We used to buy fabrics in that. It's the traditional measurement, and it was basically before we could all read and write. Everything was done by body parts. So merchants used to sell an L of linen, for example.
Oh, okay. So, and that's why horses are measured in hands.
Yes. So
and feet,
because one would hope you'd have at least an arm. With which
it's the dream
with which to measure that linen, but I always say that it would it was one of those things where if you were purchasing, you'd want to go and eye up the assistants and see who'd got the longest arms. Whereas if you were the merchant, you'd be looking for the person with the shortest arms for your assistant. Because you'd make more money out of it then. So
well, it's the same with feet, isn't it? You know, I have a little size 7 feet. But
you're not falling over anytime soon.
No, but when I was training for the Olympics, my swim coach was Mark Foster, and he has. I mean, they're huge. They're like size 14
like
feet
flippers.
or so. Yeah. My feet in flippers were still smaller than his feet.
I like that.
No wonder he swam so fast and was, you know,
but
super champion.
This is also why swimmers are so keen on sliders. You know, those shoes.
Oh, because they're just...
Because they're just, that it doesn't matter too much, does it? Because their toes can hang over the edge.
Oh, no!
Like grip the floor.
Oh, that's not a look. That's not a look I want to see.
You never know.
Anytime soon.
But yeah, so what were you training for the Olympics?
One pentathlon.
Well,
I'm a whiz with a sword.
who knew? Well,
now everyone.
Is this? Does this relate to your fabric cutting anyway? You've got some fancy samurai way of slicing up the fabrics?
That's the way, isn't it? Yes. So my son didn't believe me that I was a whiz with guns and you know, and swords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I had to show him the video evidence because obviously this all happened pre-children.
Yes.
You know, you would be forgiven for not thinking I had ever been an athlete at all. But yeah, so yeah, and there's nothing like walking and then I taught a lot of fencing. I taught over 200 kids to fence, and there's nothing like walking into a school armed with a lot of swords to get a look.
I was going to say,
but no one ever actually asks, which is strange.
See, I like that. It's just like, I want to know, but I'm not asking you because you're armed.
Because you've got a lot of swords.
Like a one-woman arsenal. Yeah.
In tight white trousers. Yeah. And plastic boobs. It comes back to the boobs again, doesn't it?
Well, quite.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm going to ask you more questions about that later.
Okay.
Right. So with this, you get full instructions again. So you've got detail pictures, overall picture, list of what's in there. You've got your stitch plan.
Do you want to show anyone that?
Oh, yes.
I'm sort of raffling through it. There we go. There we go.
There you go. So
nice.
Stitch plan, which has got the angles on as well. Stitch diagrams, and then, as I say, you've got again details of, you know, what you're doing, how you're doing it, which threads you're using for what order of work. There's photographs as you go through. It's tedious when the paper sticks together. So
oh, hang on, I'm switching. Bear with.
So just to explain kind of how you size them. So yeah. Cool. So full details in there.
Good job.
So everything you'll need.
And this is all on the website www.natashamakes.com. I forget that some people might be new to us.
Yes.
What a baptism of fire.
I put on Facebook this morning, I was like, looking forward to catching up with Natasha Makes. And then I thought, I haven't put a link onto that. Like, they should be able to find you. I did link onto your Natasha, so anyway.
We're all good. Claire says those aren't feet, they're flippers. Well, why do you think he swam so fast?
Quite.
You know.
It's yeah, I always think it's like, you know those Weebles that used to
wobble but they don't fall down.
Yes. You know, it's a bit like that, isn't it? And those feet, you know, you're not knocking that child down in the playground, are you?
No.
So
it's like my son. I mean, he has the most enormous feet, and he's 6. But then he also wears size 10 to 11-year-old clothes, and he's 6.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you don't want my clothing bill. Everyone says, "Oh, don't you make his clothes?" Like, are you kidding me? How fast?
Can't keep up with the fabric.
No,
Yeah.
They don't.
You're just making one of those smocks, like one of those adjustable smocks that, you know, you just kind of let the shoulders out occasionally.
He won't get bullied at all for that, will he? When he goes in wearing a smock.
Didn't say it was going to be kind. I just said it would fit. There's a difference.
Well, you know, yeah.
God, you have a moon on a stick. You really do. Right. So what we're going to do, So what we're going to do then is, I'm going going to cut a bit of this thread off. It's huge.
Oh, you didn't do your
fingertip to elbow length. I was obviously had your extendable arms. Yeah.
Inspector Gadget would be fine.
Yeah, quite. So I'm just going to tilt this up a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you an eyelet. So we need to put a double running stitch around there. So running stitch is a stitch that has a gap. So you then put, do you know what? This is a tremendously bad idea to do this in white on television. I'm just going to get a coloured thread.
Well, you know.
So you can see what I'm actually doing. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So, you know when you start it and you think, oh, they're just me moving the frame around for them. Can't see a blooming thing.
Fiona says, Natasha, we need an autobiographical show on all your career life. It's fascinating.
I was going to say.
You know when you say stuff and you just don't, it's my life, so don't really think anything.
Yes, you don't think it's unusual, and then other people go, what?
You did what?
Yeah, what happened then?
And it's like when we did a Christmas show last week and we're making lots of, and I had a fine old time.
Right.
And I suddenly I used to work as a scenic artist. It's nothing. How did you fit that in?
Yeah, when was this?
Well, it was when I was teaching maths in an inner city school in Coventry, and it was in special measures. Oh, it was awful. And the only way that I could stay sane was a friend of mine that I did A-level art with rang me and she's like, I kind of need you to come and paint this massive Greek. It was which Olympics was it? Basically, there was a massive frieze that we had to paint for some Olympic-based thing. And she's like, I just need you to come and do some painting for me. And that was how it started. And she was working for this company called Weird and Wonderful. And they were licensed by Lucasfilms and stuff like that. So we could replicate all the Star Wars stuff. And the very first thing that you walk into their warehouse that you walk through is the TARDIS, the actual, I mean, it was Weird and Wonderful. It was just superb. So I would teach either 2 days or 3 days a week and then paint the others. And it was the only way I stayed sane.
I love the fact that an environment with the TARDIS was where you felt sane.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, an inner city school in special measures. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. They stole my keys and had all the laptops sold by lunchtime out the English cupboard. So, fun times.
Challenging. Challenging.
Now, is this challenging? What level are we at with this?
Well, I mean, it's not difficult. It's just going to require a bit of patience because it's white on white, but it does give you a lovely, crisp, fresh look. So I'm going to demonstrate an eyelet, and actually the eyelet's probably as hard as it gets.
Okay.
So so that's why I'm kind of choosing to do that bit, so that you can kind of get an idea of where you're at with it, whether it's for you.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do a row of double running. Now, obviously, I'm doing this now in kind of pinkish colours, so that you can see it. But obviously, it's normally the white thread.
And all the thread comes with the kit?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Everything you need to do that embroidery is in that kit.
Cool.
So, so running stitch is probably a stitch that everyone recognises.
It's the first stitch you're sort of taught, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's it's one of the first ones you normally get introduced to, and then so you can see I've kind of gone all the way round, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double back on myself and fill those gaps. So this is double running.
Oh, okay.
So you create a lovely strong barrier.
Yeah.
Because I do want to make a hole in the fabric in a minute.
So why would you do this and not back stitch?
This just creates more. It's a more secure edge. Okay. So it just it's more stable and it will hold better against the pressure that we're going to put it under. So you can see it's nice secure edge.
Well, this is great.
Ta-da! And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, just slightly outside. So we've got like 2 parallel lines of this. So do the same thing again. So a running stitch.
So a double running stitch train tracks, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And
it's just to create, the outside one is basic. The inside one's for security because we're going to rip a hole in the fabric in a minute.
Okay.
Whereas the outside one is actually help us get a lovely outside line, an outside edge on our stitching.
Yeah.
So it looks nice and crisp.
And this is embroidery on glaze.
Yeah, embroidery on glaze. So it's eyelets basically.
It sounds better saying.
I know, it sounds far
embroidery on
fancier,
glaze.
doesn't it?
Yeah. So is there a reason that it was specifically named in French, but obviously on glaze is English, I'm assuming?
Well, this was quite often used in fashion, and the interesting thing is that we've used eyelets for centuries, both as a way of fastening garments together and also as a decorative element. But it's not identified particularly with English or England or anywhere else. So the interesting thing is it was just possibly one of the things that we went through a phase where we were constantly going backwards and forwards about which was most fashionable, England or France.
Yes.
And so this is kind of one of those things where it's a bit of both, isn't it? It's in French, so embroidery on glaze, so English embroidery, but you're saying it in French, so it's kind of like almost kind of hedging your bets, isn't it? So
sounds great either way.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting though because eyelets, as I say, it's funny because some of the early sewing machines, the industrial sewing machines, were actually designed to create the look of eyelets. So, because if you think about the Victorian Edwardian period, a lot of the petticoats and bloomers and tops, for example, chemise had eyelets embroidered on them. So that was a lot of embroidery.
Gosh.
So we've got a double row. So you can see that little kind of train track of parallel lines of double running stitch there. And then what I'm going to do... Yeah.
So Elizabeth was saying, wasn't Henry VIII's clothes made with big eyelets or cut work with silk pulled through the holes? You would be the one to know.
That's a technique called slashing, actually, and there's lots of names for it, but it was the idea of conspicuous consumption. So he did have eyelets on his clothes because a lot of the so the sleeves, for example, would be separate from the tunic itself, and for men and for women, and they were interchangeable, so you could have different sleeves with different bodices or tunics, and they'd have eyelets on both, and then you'd have like silk, quite often silk cords with little metal, kind of a bit like a shoelace has the end on it. It would have a thing called an egolet. It could be precious metal, so gold or silver. It could be inlaid with stones, and it would be decorative and it would hang. You tie it in a bow and it would hang. So your eyelets could be here as a functional thing, or also they used to sometimes tie on their hose and things. They used to attach some of the skirts through the eyelets. So it was a construction, but they did use them for decoration. But the slashing came from that idea that you've got a beautiful fabric and then you're so wealthy that you've slashed it in a pattern and then you've got another beautiful fabric poking through it.
Right.
So it's another way
see, and
of
they
showing...
have a go at teenagers for slashing their jeans. It's like, it's nothing new.
Well,
Henry VIII did
there's
it.
nothing new. But it was just this idea of, it was also that way of having a beautiful contrast of colours, for example. So you could have a really rich kind of colour poking through. Or you could have a really kind of sheer fabric, kind of like different texture of fabric underneath to show through. And some of them actually did kind of bulge out, so you could have kind of a bulge of fabric kind of showing the real kind of lovely texture of it and kind of see more of it. And obviously that meant you'd have to have more fabric, so it was more expensive. So it was a really interesting fashion type. As I say, lasted for quite a while, and they'd slash in particular patterns. You could do it with knives, but you could also do it with as a way of doing like heating a blade and kind of patterning through like almost like a press.
Oh wow!
So and they used to emboss fabrics as well in a similar way. So, but yeah, so I mean, there's nothing new in embroidery or fashion. So right. So what I'm going to do is, if it's okay with you to come back to the close up.
Yes.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a stiletto, but you could use a very, very big tapestry needle or a stiletto. Now mine I just use, it's steel. You can get antique ones that are bone, you can get all sorts of things, but you just need something that's got a lovely sharp edge and that is evenly circular all the way through, so it's even. So I'm just going to put it in the middle, and I'm just going to really give it some welly in a minute. Hang on.
There is a moment where you hear the rip.
Yeah, it resists, so you can see I'm really forcing it until I get to the point where it's at the outside.
Okay.
Sorry, the inside embroidery line. So what we're going to do now is I'm up just on the outside of the outer line, and I'm just going to drop down through the centre. And the idea is you're just going to keep coming up just next to yourself on the outside line.
Oh, so you fasten it back?
Yeah, you bind it basically.
Oh, nice.
And you want to make sure that your stitches are next to each other without any gaps and without too much overlapping, because you don't want a big bulky bit on one side and then nothing on another bit.
That's
so you
clever.
just work all the way around.
Ali, the lady that did the beautiful bears for Emily, says, wow, what fascinating historical knowledge Helen has. I know, I know. Elizabeth says, technical term, give it some welly. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Jimmy says, absolutely fascinating and hypnotic show. Thank you, Helen, and thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
I am merely a facilitator for
My waffle.
for Helen. I love these shows.
You never know where it's going to go, do you?
That's kind of what I love about it.
Oh, yeah. So, put your big girl pants on and let's go.
I'm all for a pair of big pants.
Yeah.
Not like your hot pants.
Yeah, quite.
Which we will keep returning to.
Well, somebody else can return them. Oh, dear. Yes.
I thought that was going to be a lot harder than it.
Feels like it should be hard, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's just repetition, and it's just that embroidery barrier that you've created with that double running.
So how does this compare to hardanger? Because you actually remove the threads, don't you, with hardanger?
Actually, funnily enough, people find hardanger a bit scarier because they think that if they haven't stitched in the correct way, then it will fall to pieces.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah.
So this, if you've got your double running stitch, you're good. You're good to go.
It's all good. It's
So,
all good.
Yeah. So it's just a repetition now of all the way around. So, and then another thing that you can do with this is you can actually buttonhole. So, for example, if I...
Because that's...
Yeah. So this is hardanger. So...
That was made by Elizabeth.
It's very nice.
Beautiful,
Well
isn't
done. Yeah, so I mean, I actually met a really lovely lady in Scotland. And she came up to me and said, I have been stitching a hardanger tablecloth for 5 years.
For 5 years?
Yeah.
Did she stop for pee breaks?
I don't know what she was doing, but she'd been stitching it for 5 years. Wow. I mean, good, that's great dedication. She didn't say how much of that 5 years, like she'd been a hermitage or something. Wow. But yeah, she'd been stitching it for 5 years, and she had got to the point now where she needed cut out, and she was scared. And she just left it. And I was like, you've stitched for 5 years and you've missed the bit out that makes hardanger.
That's amazing.
I was like, the show's on for like a couple of days. This is day one. I'm going to be here. Do you want to bring it along and
I'll cut it.
Start you off. I was like, you know, if it isn't working, I will reweave that for you. You can leave it. It'll be fine. You won't see it. I never saw her again.
Did you not?
No. She was obviously in fear.
Oh
so I would just think of this beautiful tablecloth somewhere in Scotland that's been 5 years of stitching and then no holes. I was just like...
Yeah, but could you imagine? I mean, that's not ever going to go down for Christmas dinner, is it? Could you imagine the gravy and wine stains?
The pressure of sitting at that dinner table. Give me a Tommy Tippy and a bib. Just give me white products that I can eat. Just white,
cauliflower. Just the cauliflower.
Champagne and cauliflower for me, please. Bread. White bread, nothing on it.
Bread sauce.
Yeah.
It's okay. So we've got turkey, bread sauce and cauliflower.
Yeah, I mean,
and
good.
champagne.
What's not to like? I mean, it's an option. It's
Yeah.
an option. So, oh dear. Yeah. So, The other thing that you can do...
Oh yeah, we should look at this, shouldn't we?
You should do a bit of stitching sometime. The other thing that you can do with these edges on the Richelieu and on the eyelets is that you can buttonhole them. So that was a bound edge, and then we can also buttonhole. So again, you come up on the outside of the hole, and then you leave a little loop, and you come up on the outside in the loop and pull to the outside edge.
So that's almost like a... When you have an overlocker, that's basically what that's doing, is overlocking.
Yeah,
that
I mean
edge.
that's basically what it's based on. This is buttonhole. So this is traditionally what would have edged a lot of the buttonholes. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
I know, shock. But yeah, so it just creates a lovely little ridge around the outer edge, which the bound edge is smooth, whereas this has a tiny little ridge around the edge.
Cool.
Which is quite lovely.
Yeah, Elizabeth says Hardanger does fall to pieces. Ask me how I know. Apparently that was her second attempt at Hardanger.
Did you stitch the loop in the wrong way?
Eliza Jane says that she did pulled thread work because it's easier.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
all
it's
these
just
things. There are so many things.
I know, there's so many techniques. That's the thing about embroidery. If you don't like one technique, don't write it off, because there's another technique out there and you'll love it. So it's really fascinating because of that. There's something for everybody. I truly believe that.
I'm beginning to realise that, because when we do a little walk through your brain, it's very entertaining. And it always makes me wonder how you have the patience to sit and stitch. But then I realise that actually there are so many different stitches that's what keeps the interest going.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
I get it now.
There's so much, and each one looks so different, and you can kind of flip from one to the next, and then you throw in the colourways and the fabrics and the thread choices and the sparkly bits you can throw on, like the sequins and the crystals and the beads and, you know, all sorts of things. Metal threads, you know, exactly, the gold work. It's just, you know, it's never ending, isn't it? So, right, so you can see I've done half the eyelet on here in bound. So I've bound the edge, dropping through and coming up on the outside, and then this side I've done in buttonhole. So if I just tilt a little bit more, so yeah, so you can see the buttonhole is slightly wider than the bound, but yeah, it's a nice finish. So I'm going to show you stem stitch. So these are just stem stitched edges. So what we're going to do is we're already up. I'm going to go down. You just want a short stitch. You come up at the halfway point, having pulled the loop to the one side, pull and pull. Travel forward that short distance, bring your loop to the same side, come up at the halfway point, which should be about the end of the previous stitch, pull and pull. And it gives you, with a lovely short stitch that you're putting in, you'll get a lovely rolling effect to your line, and it would just be really crisp and pleasing.
Are we cutting out the middle of this bit as well?
No, this is just
a raised
this is
stitch.
just a raised, like a little row, just to throw on that decoration, because this is kind of to ease the design downwards, because the central panel has, if I bring this in, the central panel here has satin and then shaped eyelets, and then it has this stem stitch edge, and then these two panels just at the side are just to kind of draw out, to shadow almost, to kind of bring the design outwards. Nice. So with these, basically what you do, and it's full instructions in the kit, you're going to do a double running row all the way around both.
So like we've just done?
Exactly the same.
Okay.
So you create that train track.
We can do that, yeah.
Yeah. And then all you do is you throw stitches across. So what time are we at? What time is it?
No idea. Oh, 11:45.
Oh, yeah. So we throw stitches across, but what you want to do is to make sure you're not working in a loop. So if I just show you, you already know how to do the double running stitch is the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Hey, look, I'll fill in any gap. It's fine.
Thank you very much. So it went blank for a while there.
No, it's all good.
Pause in transmission. So let's pretend I've started properly. But what we can do is you'll have done your double running row and two lots of it, so you've got your train tracks, and then what you want to do is you want to come up in between the first row and the second row in that little channel in between.
Oh, okay.
And then you want to come up on one side and go down on the other
into the train
track.
channel.
And then rather than coming up on the first side, so you work in a loop, you come up next to where you went down and go down again.
By like a thread?
Yes.
Okay.
And then one more, so come up next to and go down. So you've got 3 next to each other.
But then when you pop in the hole...
Yes.
What happens to those?
Right, well, because we've not worked in a loop, what we can do is it's only caught to the fabric top and bottom, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we've already secured, you will have already secured with your double running stitch the outside edge of it.
Yeah.
So the idea is, what we'll do is we'll decorate the bar. So for example, we could buttonhole this bar. So
so you just twist around it, so you don't
so
actually...
I'm sliding underneath it.
Oh, so you can actually just take all the fabric out from underneath it?
Yep.
Oh, that's clever.
Haha. We aim to please. It's so you can see I've buttonholed all the way along the bar. And you do that for each of these 3, so they're decorated. And then what you can do is you can then snip. So all you do is you get something to make a little hole in the gap in between.
Yeah.
Just so you've got something to get your scissors into.
Yeah.
And then you'd very carefully slide the blade of your scissors, the top blade of your scissors underneath. So obviously the bottom blade is on the back of the fabric.
Yeah.
And the top blade is underneath this bit. And you want to snip.
So you need
a central line. You just a little snip
long,
here.
thin nose on your scissors.
Yes. Well, you just need to basically, you don't want a big solid pair of scissors. So for example, if I was using these, you can see I can't, obviously I'd have a hole in the fabric.
Yeah.
So I'd be able to slide my scissors underneath like that. So my bottom blade would be on the bottom edge of the scissors and the top blade is underneath the bar. So you can cut the fabric away and you just keep snipping until you've got a central line.
Oh, so the unicorn scissors would work?
Yeah.
I love that they're
and
unicorn.
And then what you could do is you could then tuck that extra fabric underneath. So what you've cut, you tuck away, a bit like the way that you did with your card.
Yeah.
So you kind of tuck it under, and then basically, so if you've created that central hole, you tuck it underneath and just finger press it so it sits back, and then you bind the edge. So you either bind it as you did with the eyelet or you buttonhole it, and as you bind, because you're dropping forward through that hole and bringing the stitch back up, it holds that fabric underneath.
Yeah.
So you work round the outside shape. So you've decorated your bars, you've already secured the shape, and the bars are actually interesting because the bars are there, they're decorative, but because we're cutting a big shape out, and they can get bigger than this, so you imagine the big Madeiran tablecloths, for example, they're quite huge. So so you cut some of those, you cut away more fabric than you leave.
Yeah.
So the bars are there to decorate and secure the fabric together.
Right.
And then you can then decorate with your stitching to bind it and make it beautiful.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so it's a really lovely technique. So yeah.
It's when with these things who first thought, I know, I'm just going to chop away a bit of this fabric? Or was it just an accident that something happened and then they just thought, I better secure that? So, oh, it looks quite pretty.
Nobody will know.
We'll make it a design feature and it'll be fine.
It's that serendipity, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, it's that thing. I mean, obviously, before we had the zips and, things, the modern fastenings that we had, they were using the eyelets and threads and cords to kind of secure things. And that kind of just extends, doesn't it? And then you kind of think, okay, that hole's got so big. I now need to secure that hole. What can I do there? And so it's that really interesting thing about kind of meeting that need, and then it becomes decorative.
Yeah.
So it's just the nice story of how textiles and embroidery develops in all sorts of directions. So
it is amazing. I mean, that when through working at the RSC, you see so many different costumes and so many different eras, and they make them true to the time. So there's no sneaky zip. So when you've got a quick costume change, and you've got bodices to lace, wow, you've got to be really quick and on it, and it's because it is true to the time. It's incredible and just so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because, I mean, things like pin money, the phrase pin money came from when they didn't have the fastenings. A lot of the parts of the clothing, particularly for ladies, were actually pinned together. So, and you'd get through a lot of pins, so you'd have to have extra money. That you know, the well-to-do ladies would have to, in the Elizabethan period, for example, you'd have to have pin money, which was extra money for the pins. So that's where pin money comes from. So, and that's why quite often you'll find, like, people who do kind of mudlarking on the Thames, for example, they quite often find pins that have washed up in the Thames from that period. Or there's
I'll
such
send
a lot
Freddie
of
down
them.
with his metal detector.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Tudor pins and a Tudor thimble and things like this, and it's the tools don't change, you know. No. But as I say, it's just the amount of them and for what we're using them. So, you know, we create modern inventions now for modern need, don't we? So, but those were their inventions for that period and for that need.
Pin their fabric. Please tell me they're like safety pins. And
no, safety pins is quite a relative invention.
Well, hang on. Sitting down.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So if you imagine, for example, you'd got, you know, so say you'd got a bodice a kind of tunic that comes around the front, but you've already got a stomacher and a chemise on. Because the stomacher's boned, for example, the kind of corset is boned.
I need one of those, yeah.
It wouldn't be posture. It wouldn't be the end of the world if the pin went into the corset, because it's going to hit the bone. It's not going to hit your bone.
Yeah.
The whale bone is hitting. It's not you. So it was a good way of fastening it, and they weren't as relaxed as we are. You know, so in their own space, in their own time, they had clothes, of course, that were more relaxed, but they weren't lounging around the way that we were, because, you know, people who were of that status were on view, were kind of living this particular life for attention for a particular purpose, so to retain power. So
I bet they'd kill for a pair of tracky bums, a pair of comfies.
They'd be quite shocked.
Could you imagine if Henry VIII had a chance for a pair of big comfy
fleece-lined tracky bottoms? Yeah. Some of the stuff we've all been wearing in lockdown. Lockdown clothes.
With his food medals. I bet he had a few food medals.
I'm sure he did.
You wouldn't want to be the person in charge of trying to clean his clothes, would you?
No.
Gosh.
Drop cloth needed. But yeah. So that's some of the things that we're doing today. So
Helen, thank you.
That's
thank
fine.
you.
So
these are all on the
Glasgow
website.
Rose on the website, and the needle case. So Pinktacular. So on the website as well.
What date did we have for next month?
I want to say it was the 6th. Let me just shuffle around in my bag.
Yeah, you have a
There's
rummage.
mooch about.
See what you can find. Eliza Jane says, my grandma learnt embroidery techniques from her grandma, and then she taught me. It's something that's handed down in families. Yeah, it should be. It skipped my mum, bless her. I think because my grandma was so good.
So keen.
She didn't need to, because grandma just did it all.
Well, this can sometimes be the case. It's interesting, or they're so good it kind of puts the next generation off. Because it's a bit intimidating.
Yeah. Emily's got wooden animals with holes drilled around the outside so that she can thread a shoelace.
That's good. Yeah. And buckrum's quite a good one to play with as well. Like coming up to Christmas, some of the Hessian and things, you can really kind of play and make them into Christmas stockings. Nice. So that they can kind of have as a keepsake. Yeah. So it's really nice.
Perfect. There's always a way.
Yeah, absolutely. 6th of October.
Perfect. Put it in your diaries, folks, as Helen has. Thank goodness.
I don't go anywhere without my diary. I've got such a terrible memory. I remember. Ask me about islets, no problem. What I'm doing next week. So
you haven't been able to go anywhere for the last 6 months.
Well, this is it. This is it. So yeah. But yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank
nice
you.
Nice to see you.
Ali says, absolutely brilliant demo, Helen. Thank you so much. Fab. And Elizabeth said that she was working on the Watbow when she was watching us with the, before. So she waxed the cord more because of what she said about waxing thick threads on her tea trunk.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, you see it all, people listen.
Yes.
And Fiona says, thank you, ladies. Today's show was wonderful. It's an absolute pleasure. Helen, it's always a pleasure to have you here. I always look forward
Always a joy
to seeing you. And thank you. And ladies and gents, if you fancy having a go, then head to the website, www.natashamakes.com, and you will find all of the lovely goodies that Helen has brought us on the show today.
Yay.
And if you fancy having a go at Cartonnage, I don't think you can say that any other way.
Like you're from the West Country.
Yeah, almost like a bit of a farmer's burr to it. Then do, and we will do a Cartonnage along.
Are you going to have scrumpy with that?
Oh,
from a welly boot?
Would be fabulous. I would enjoy that. I was a young farmer. Young farmers do it in wellies. That's all I'm saying. Thank you all ever so much for watching and for spending your time and for all your lovely comments as well. We do read through them. Oh, hang on. Oh. Karen says that on my grandma's wedding certificate in 1926, her occupation was listed as a lace darner.
Oh, I mean, that's such a specific trade.
Really?
In what year?
1926.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, lace is quite delicate, obviously, so darning it is a really specific trade. I've done it. It's quite difficult. It's beautiful. I mean, like lace, if you imagine wedding veils, for example, one of the things that you can do is we have wedding veils that come to us that people have put their foot through it.
Absolutely.
For example, or a hair grip has kind of torn a hole in it or whatever. And they obviously, it's a family item, they want to pass it on. So you have to be able to match it and to darn it and to match the weight of thread that they've made originally to kind of make it as new.
That's really specific.
Yeah.
It's something that obviously has been done, but I never had even considered was a thing.
Don't even think about it. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Shirley says, I missed the show today. Shirley, you can watch it on YouTube. Head to Natasha Makes, you can watch it there.
Yes.
You can go to the website, www.natashamakes.com, and it will be on there, and you can watch it on Facebook again. So you have not missed it.
Come back to us.
You just can watch it anytime you like, at your leisure.
At your leisure, yes.
Helen, we will see you in a month.
Yeah.
How very exciting. Thank you. And I've got to find a way to get over there and switch everything off.
Shall I step out and you can step in?
Go on then.
Go on then, thanks.
Go on then. Da, 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 da. Bye everyone. Thank you. Right, let me switch everything off. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.